Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Timers podcast. First time recording this since the 1st of September, if I'm not mistaken, was when we filmed that Avengers Infinity War podcast. So, although that, so it's been about almost 2 months off. I'm joined on screen by Owen and John. I was going to say, as you can see, but there's also audio mode to this. So, you might not be able to see.
If you can't see us, imagine us. But stop doing that while you're imagining us.
Oh! It's been I need another month off after that. Christ,
it's like we've never been away.
Exactly. We're back today to talk about Doctor Who and the Silurians. I know John's been very excited for this one. I've been dreading it. So has my opinion changed? We're gonna find out. But first and foremost, before I get the entire world has a go at me. Russell T Davies, there was announced Russell T Davies coming back to Doctor Who. Literally, like the week I was like, I'm going to take a break, and then that's the thing. But then every YouTuber, like I said in the video, anyway, every YouTuber and that has already done a piece on that. So obviously we won't spend too long on this. We saw, but what are your overall thoughts? How are you feeling? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I think everyone already knows, but I think but just what are your overall thoughts?
I'm absolutely over the moon. I was at work when I heard the news. I was on Instagram for some reason. I think I was going onto the shop Instagram either to respond to a message. And I saw an image of Russell T with the Who logo in the corner. And I thought, is this real? What's this about then? So I read the text underneath. Sure, no, I didn't read that properly. Hang on. So I read it again. And then I had to read it a third time just to make sure I was reading this correctly. And then I went running out of the counter, across the shop, into the museum, and I'm jumping up and down on the spot. And my boss is like, what's wrong with you? Why are you jumping up and down? And I'm like, read this. And I handed her the phone. She's read it. She's like, oh, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. I think everyone was like that. I saw it on Twitter and I thought it was fake because, obviously with the white verified tick, I thought it was one of those fake accounts that's got like a thing similar to that. So I read that and I was like, no, that's bullshit. And then suddenly I get a notification on my phone. I'm like, maybe it's not bullshit no more. And I'm in the student union bar, so I'm like halfway drunk at this point. I'm like, this isn't possible. I forget about it, and then next morning I wake up, and yeah, that was the thing. I made my opinion known. I'm mixed on the decision. I think it's gonna be good for the show. I think that's fundamentally what it needs. I'm always open to new people and new things happening, but if you're going to bring one person back, it's probably the best person to do it. I just hope that this change is able to bring Doctor Who back into the public eye again, like it was in the early, the late to early 2010s. The early 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s. Hopefully we get to see figures on shelves again, posters everywhere, people talking about that.
Don't mention the shelves.
Don't take pictures of shelves.
Maybe we can now, if they're good shelves. Maybe that's really a new thing.
I mean, I'm pretty much with most other people. I am resoundingly positive about it. I was actually in a Twitter space with a few fellow Doctor Who fans at the time, so got to sort of drop the news to them live as I sort of saw it coming in, and the reactions were just, people were just initially like, what? But then just so excited for it. I think what I'm most excited about isn't the fact that it's the RTD era coming back, because I think we're going to get something very different. Russell's a very different writer to what he was 15 years ago. He's a lot more.
So this is RTD era.
He's a lot more mature. I think he'll tackle some more mature themes. But what I'm excited about is the fact that we've got the best television writer available in this country coming and writing for Doctor Who. It is going to raise the profile of the show. Through the deal that they've done with Bad Wolf Media, we're going to get more money piled into it. And one of Russell's biggest things is that he wants to build a universe. So we're going to start maybe seeing spin-offs. We're going to get more merchandise. The show's going to get the attention that it probably hasn't had since the 50th anniversary. You know, and that's brilliant. I mean, I just remember a couple of years ago, I remember when it was broadcast, I remember watching Years and Years and thinking to myself, I really want this Russell to write for Doctor Who. And like what I was thinking was I want him to come back and do a couple of episodes like this. But if we can get that socially, politically aware Russell T Davies that's a little bit braver than he was last time, and he was quite brave last time, but subtly so, you know, because you had little moments like when Rose goes missing, they mention the fact that Mickey's brought in for questioning 5 or 6 times, you know, and little things like that. But yeah, it's really going to be really excited for it. The other interesting thing is the fact that some of the most passionate fans of the current era are suddenly turning into NMDs and going, stop talking about Russell T Davies, talk about this, which I always find funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they always say that eventually the hero becomes the villain as you go along the tail.
Well, John, I hate to say it, mate. I remember, I think it was us 3 together, actually. We all called it on the show. We all said that was what's going to happen. As soon as Jodie was announced to leave or whatever, the people that love Jodie will then just turn on whatever decision is made next. And look,
big props to Owen Luckhurst, actually, because when we did our predictions for after Chibnall, Owen did actually mention the possibility of Russell coming back.
Yeah. Owen is a soothsayer. What is in that hot bed? I'm going to assume it's a tea. You're a tea drinker, aren't you? Yeah, but it's tea. Yeah. But yeah, no, like I said, I'm excited for the show. I'm going to love it when he's back. I just looked at it and I went, oh, I'd love to have seen that, that person's take. But that's here or there. It's a great choice. It's great for the show. It's possibly the best man working in television right now.
I didn't know that Bad Wolf Productions was actually a thing. And it
you didn't know
that now it's sort of like it's come full circle again, and now it's sort of like you got Bad Wolf Productions, doing stuff with Doctor Who, and you've got we've also got Julie Gardner as well. Which is,
I mean, when you watch the quality of things like his Dark Materials, if that's the kind of quality that we're going to be getting for Who, or if we're getting anything like that, then bloody hell, we're in for a treat.
Exactly. And I think as well, by the way, I don't know if it's clear because Twitter never seems to know, the Sony thing is not going to make a fucking difference. Look, Sony putting
you don't think that Dave from Twitter in his 280 character tweets is an expert on media law and intellectual property?
Exactly. The amount of times I see people go, oh, Doctor Who's gonna now be much better budget. It probably will be with Bad Wolf and that sort of stuff anyway, but the fact that Sony have come in, it's going to make no lip of difference. People going, oh, will they get a Doctor Who movie? Probably not. And if we do, great.
But never rule it out. You never know.
No, never rule it out. But
it'll get a bigger budget because of Bad Wolf Productions. Nothing to do with Sony.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. As well, there was no way that the BBC would announce this partnership and then weeks later, so they would already have known at that point. You can't just go out and buy a company. There's so much contracting. You can't just put stake in a company. Like, it's not like one of the people in Sony went, you know what, today we're going to put some stake in this company. And that's how it works. No, they would have known before.
There would have been whispers. There would have been whispers about it. There would have been a lot of inside knowledge going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Although it means that there's potential for a Doctor Who Tomb Raider crossover. I'm completely up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, we got some Doctor Who Flux news. Obviously, we finally got that bloody trailer, and it was a good trailer. It was a very good trailer. I like the trailer. I thought it was. I think it's one of the best trailers in terms of how it's structured. One of the best trailers Doctor Who's ever had. It looked like a film trailer, and it looked brilliant.
It looks fantastic. But as I've said over the last week, it was always going to look fantastic, because if there's one thing that isn't an issue with this current production era, it's how the show looks. The show looks better than it ever has. I think the question comes into how all that ties together and what the substance is and what the content is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the trailer looks really good. It's great to see some monsters coming back. I cannot wait to meet the giant dogs.
Oh, I'm all there for the dogs.
You know, giant dogs, brilliant. And yeah, I mean, somebody made a really good point the other day, and that they were saying, oh, well, you know, the Master's not in the trailer, Sasha's not in the trailer. Well, don't forget they airbrushed him out of the trailer, the series 12. So there were scenes like the tuxedo scene that you didn't see him in because they airbrushed him out of it. They could very well have done the same here.
I also think as well, we may have already seen him in the trailer. But that's just Alex's theory.
He's inside the dog suit.
I think he's one of the skeleton people things. I reckon.
I think the dog suit's too tall. I think Adam Mamoon's inside the dog suit.
Adam Mamoon. I did ask him, was it him? He said no. He said he was the stunt double instead. Yeah, so if the dog does any stunts, that's Adam.
Yeah, he would say that, wouldn't he? He's going to deny it. He'd have signed an NDA.
Exactly, he would have signed an NDA to be a dog.
He's soon going to become Adam Mad Dog Mamoon.
I think he already is Adam Mad Dog Mamoon, even if he's not.
Like literally 11 days to go till Halloween. Very, very exciting. I think we've got a possible broadcast time now. They've not confirmed it quite yet, but tentatively they're looking at 20 past 6.
20 past 6? Ooh.
Yep, that came out yesterday. Tentatively they're looking at 20 past 6.
I won't be able to watch it though, because I'll be at the BFI watching Matt Smith in Last Night in Soho. I'll be missing the first episode, so I have to.
And the second episode.
And then second episode there's the BFI.
And then you'll probably.
Owen fake fan Luckhurst.
And then I'll be the only one watching the 6th episode because I ain't going to the December BFI. Sad face. So
you're not going to see your death.
I can't. Unfortunately, two BFIs a month apart. It's cost me £200 to get down this time. I can't spend £400 in 2 months. Sad.
I have suggested selling your body while in London to be as a solution to this.
If I had known if it was between Galaxy 4 and City of Death, I probably would have chosen City of Death. But unfortunately, we didn't know about it until afterwards.
Well, touch wood. Obviously, we don't know whether we'll be able to get tickets or not. But touch wood, we will be at. Myself and Owen will be at City of Death, hopefully. So we'll certainly miss the last episode of the series.
Whereas, I'm just openly weeping, like. Everyone's out on the boozer. Don't
worry. We'll be sure to send you lots of photos.
Exactly. So now I want to, before we go and talk about the Doctor chatting to weird, aliens, I want to quickly. I've seen John talk about this on Twitter. I've seen a lot of people be annoyed at this, and so am I, because and I haven't told John I'm going to speak about this, but it's been frustrating me.
I know what you're going to say.
Channel 4. I'll let John have a chat in a minute because there's nothing better than a John Cook sort of like I don't want to call it a rant or spurt, a well worded speech. Yes, you've had problems, and yes, we understand that takes time. However, other channels have been able to get things in place and doing it. I think the projected timeline is mid-November. I could be wrong with that. I think it's something like that. Is out of order in every single way possible. And now, I think how in 2021, how is this a thing? I understand if it's down for a day. I understand if it's down for 5 days. Sometimes, but you need to have contingencies in place. And this is just, it's shown that that Channel 4, they may say that they do not prioritize all their viewers. And that is not okay. I believe, John, you might have to, because of everyone, I think even Ofcom got involved and raised a bit of a thing. It's ridiculous.
Yes, Ofcom have, for those that aren't aware, the issue is that for the last 3.5 weeks, Channel 4 programming has been without subtitles, without people providing BSL, British Sign Language, and without audio description. This is due to a fire at a subcontractor. It affected other channels such as the BBC and Channel 5, but they seem to have sorted it out a lot more quickly. In Channel 4's case, there was an issue with the backup system as well. This has now been down for 3.5 weeks. The projection is that it's going to be down for at least another 4 weeks into mid-November. Now, that might not seem like a major thing to all of our listeners, but so what I'll say to them is this. Try watching one of your favourite TV programmes for 5 minutes with the volume on mute. Try watching one of your favourite TV programmes for 5 minutes with your eyes shut. That is a service that deaf and visually impaired people are currently being provided by Channel 4. Now, if that was any channel and they were taking 2 months to resolve that, it would be appalling. But Channel 4 are a channel who proclaim themselves to be championing minorities. They've been broadcasting the Paralympics for the last 3 Paralympic Games since 2012. They've got programs like The Last Leg. They've got programs like The Undateables, which, much as I'm not a big fan of it, it exists. They've continually championed disabled talent, disabled performers, and given opportunities to disabled people, both behind and in front of the camera. Or so they would have you believe. I think the way that they are dealing with this is a reflection on where people with disabilities and disabled people, however you want to term yourself, actually sit in terms of their priorities. They're saying that this is a priority to deal with. 8 weeks is not a priority. If this is something that was affecting all of their customers, it would have been sorted inside a couple of days. What is stopping them picking up the phone to the BBC? What is stopping them picking up the phone to Channel 5, sharing a bit of resources for the good of the customer, and using some of their resources to subtitle, to audio describe, to sign? Frankly, I am beyond disgusted. All that we're getting is very bland press statements from Channel 4. I personally have tagged their, I think she's a CEO, a lady called Alex Mann, into 2 or 3 tweets and had absolutely zero response from her, zero response from the channel. It is at the point now where Ofcom have got involved, and Ofcom made a very good, robustly worded statement on it that they felt it was unacceptable. It was about as strongly worded as a government department gets in terms of its public communications. And, I know that because I work for a government department. So I read that and I thought, bloody hell. Yeah, it's just an absolute kick in the teeth to people that Channel 4 proclaim to represent. And frankly, you can tell that I'm angry about it because I've not sworn.
Yeah. It's funny, that, isn't it?
Not even second time.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to know, I've seen your mouth moving. You are where you're muted for some reason. I don't know if you muted yourself but you are. I don't, because you said so. I think you said something, and I was like, "There's no sound." But yeah, you're mute. There you go.
No, I did mute myself because my dad came downstairs and he put the kettle on, so it was a bit noisy. So I muted
Owen
myself.
put the kettle on.
But yes, I think John said everything perfectly there. Let's move on to some 70s Who, shall we?
It's somewhat ironic, actually, that Owen did that, because that's what most people do when I go on a rant in these podcasts. They go and make a cup of tea.
Yeah. Only the listeners that don't like cold hard truth go and make a cup of tea when that happens.
Spitting truths, boy. Spitting facts.
Well, John, as well, I will let you explain the plot of the 7-part John Pertwee epic that is Doctor Who and the Silurians.
Somebody else do it, because I'm, as you might have heard, I'm a bit
Owen,
throaty today, so I'm
that's okay, but I do apologize. Owen, would you like to take us through it? Because I feel like I'm going to fuck it up, so I really don't want to do it. What happened? I can't. Okay.
If you need me to, I'll give it a go. But if
No,
I
it's all
start
right, man. I shall give it my best shot.
We'll try and go through it together.
I shall give it my best shot. So the Doctor essentially has to go to this base in which they are not realizing that they are being morons, as every Doctor Who story starts out. The Doctor is like, no, there's something going on here. But the Brigadier is like, no, Doctor, you're wrong. Until the Doctor has to find about 20 pieces of evidence. And the Brigadier goes, actually, Doctor, you might be right. Then the Doctor and friends go and talk to some aliens. The end. There's the simple short version of it.
Okay, so the Doctor and companion Liz Shaw are summoned to Wenley Moor in Derbyshire. By the Brigadier, because there's a power station there. They're doing all kinds of important scientific research, and they continue to have power outages. So relatively early on, in fact, it's established very early on by the opening scene being a couple of people in a cave, and there's the sound of a monster. So the Doctor goes caving, goes for a dig around in the caves, and comes across a Tyrannosaurus Rex. He gets out of that one. But it becomes clear at that point that, yes, there's something going on. It turns out that living underneath the base, in the caves underneath the base, are the Silurians, who are a race who lived on the Earth before mankind, basically. They lived on the Earth, scientifically advanced before mankind. They foresaw a great disaster occurring, so went into hibernation, and unfortunately their hibernation systems went wrong and didn't wake them up. I presume that the great disaster that occurred was actually Adric in a space freighter landing on the planet. I think it is established in the book that it's established in the book that it's actually the asteroid crash or Adric in the spaceship, whatever way you want to look at it. So yeah, it's all Adric's fault. Everything that goes wrong in Doctor Who is Adric's fault.
Mm-hmm.
So the Doctor wants to try to broker a peace with these people. In the meantime, one of the scientists at the base, Dr. Quinn, has been spending a lot of time down in the caves and has actually befriended the Silurians. One of the Silurians escapes from the base, is sort of wild in the country, ends up killing a farmer in his barn, and then attacking Liz, who survives. And
He just
Dr.
pushed
Quinn.
her over.
Sorry?
He just pushed her over. I watched it this afternoon, and all you see is it go like that, and she just falls in the hay, and that's it.
Yeah. Doris, there's something in my barn. Doris, there's something in my barn. Old Farmer Squire. So yeah, he just pushes her in the hay and runs off. He then gets taken in by Dr. Quinn, who it turns out it might have a bit of an ulterior motive, because when he's talking to his lady friend who also works at the base, whose name I can't remember, that's appalling. There's a female character and I can't remember. I remember Doris's name.
I never remember any of their names, to be honest.
Yeah. So anyway, Dr. Quinn's talking to his lady friend, and he kind of reveals to her that actually he wants to keep the monster, as he calls it, captive and use it as a bartering tool to get scientific discoveries from the Silurians. That doesn't work well. The Silurian kills him. The Doctor finds Quinn dead in his house, and the Silurian then goes to attack the Doctor, which is when we get my background for the day, which is the Doctor meeting the Silurian and going, "Hello, are you a Silurian?" We then get further to and fro to the base. The Doctor again attempts to broker a peace, along with the security chief, who's also kept captive down there, Major Baker. There's a bit of a power struggle going on between the Silurians. The leader of the Silurians wants to try to share the planet. However, his two underlings are less keen. They kind of see humans as beneath them and as scum and vermin, and don't really want to share the planet with them. And so eventually the young Silurians take over. They kill the older Silurian and release Baker into the wild with a deadly virus. So the rest
Does
of the
that
story,
sound familiar?
I don't think that coronavirus was Silurian created. We won't go into where it might be.
That we know of.
Well, yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, it could be the case.
And quite clearly, Peter Miles is an anti-vaxxer.
yeah, quite clearly, Peter Miles, who runs the base, is an anti-vaxxer. Quite clearly, Jeffrey Palmer, who's his mate in the civil service, is also an anti-vaxxer, because neither of them want their shots, and neither of them believe the virus is real. They both kind of pay the price for it. And yeah, so the rest of the story is basically taken up with the Doctor trying to find a cure. In the end, he does find a cure for the virus, which is then put out and saves most people's lives. A few die. But we are left with, well, as I'll come on to later, one of the most poignant scenes in all of Doctor Who, in my view, where at the end, as the Doctor is driving away, the Brigadier, completely going against what the Doctor wants to do, actually blows up the caves with the Silurians in it. And the Doctor's reaction to that is one of the reasons why the third Doctor is the best Doctor in all of Doctor Who.
So I told you do a better job than me, even with a very hoarse throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I rewatched this one yesterday. Well, I did it a bit today, a bit yesterday, because I did 3 episodes yesterday and 4 today. And overall, I have to say that I really I don't get on with this one. I know you love it, John. I'm sorry. But for me, it's overly long. It's boring.
I think it could. It's one of those stories that could actually be cut down, because when I was watching it, there were scenes with the Doctor and Liz in the lab, and it's sort of like for about 30 seconds of them just sort of like test tubes and stuff.
Not
a word like being said. That could actually be cut down.
It is essentially 2 different stories. You've got the alien invasion story, if you like, in the first 4 episodes, and then you've got the story with the virus afterwards. I'll be honest, I don't have an issue with that, because the vast majority of classic stories that go over 4 parts do that. They tag together various different plot lines in an overarching strand. So, if you watch something like The Seeds of Doom, which is one of the most revered stories in all of classic Who, that is essentially 3 2-part stories clubbed together through the theme of a crinoid. To the point where they just blow up Antarctica at the end of episode 2, and then everything shifts to England.
I've not seen The Seeds of Doom, so I can't comment. So the ones that I've just not watched. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest, John. Yeah, like I said, we knew this was going to be an interesting one because it had this pretty good stuff. I enjoyed it more second time. I don't hate it. But I watched episodes 1 to 3 last night, and I went. So I watched about an hour, and nothing has fucking happened. It's just the doctor going around talking to a bunch of different fucking people. They're all dodgy as shit. He goes to the brigadier. The brigadier's like, "Nah, mate, you've got to find more hardcore evidence, please, lad." So the doctor's like, "Right, I'm going to go to a cave for a bit." "Oh no, fucking dinosaur! I'll come back up. I will go back down." Liz is going to. "Oh, what the? It's for me. Like I'm sat there, and I just don't find any of it that engaging.
I think that's generally what's referred to as building characters.
Yeah, I don't mean
it's why characters like Dr. Lawrence, who is brilliantly played by Peter Miles, and Quinn, who's again brilliantly played by Fulton Mackay, it's why they work, because actually those side characters, you get to see them, you get to see their motivation. So yeah, there's scenes that maybe in the grand scheme of the plot line you can throw away, but actually, would that actor give so memorable a performance? Would that character be as good without those supposedly filler scenes in there?
I don't even think it's the filler scenes. I think there's just how do I describe this in a correct term? There's a lack of forward momentum with the story. I feel like it's tunneling at 0.5 speed. And like you said, there are some really good character moments in there. Those aren't the bits I have a problem with. But the problem I have is that, for me anyway, I got to the end of part 3 and I went, nothing's really changed yet. Nothing. Like, there's been a few nuggets here or there, but it's been mostly the same stuff. If the doctor talks to this person, he knows they're dodgy, but doesn't have the evidence yet. Let's get back. And for me, it's I mean, obviously it's just a different opinion, though, but I was just really disengaged. I call this one a Twitter story, where most of the time I'm watching it, I spend I'm on my phone looking at Twitter rather than looking at the screen. John, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be as nice as I can.
No, I mean, I know it's fine. Other opinions are available. I mean, I would say by the end of episode 3, you've established that there's an alien base underground. Mackay, who's one of your main antagonists, if you like, on the human side, is dead. And you've established that, there are lizard men walking around, and you're just about to establish that they're actually dinosaurs, because that's literally the start of episode 4. So I think to say nothing's changed, I think is maybe a little harsh. Although, the rate of change may not be to your liking.
Yeah, that was a bit of an overstatement. I will admit, but I don't know. I think for me,
what other 7 episodes have you seen? Obviously, you've seen the Invasion. You've seen
Inferno.
Evil of the Daleks.
Inferno.
Have you had the same issue with those?
War Games, I enjoyed. Ambassadors of Death, that's 7, right?
So actually, you've seen all of the rest of them, basically.
And the only other one I don't like is Ambassadors of Death. I think Inferno is a cracking, 9 out of 10 story. Okay. To be fair, I think the issue is
it's not the length. It's not the length in general. No. It's just the pace of it.
No, I think as well. It's like
Ambassador of Death.
Yeah. I read that about you on a toilet wall.
Like I was going to say, John, as well. You made a really good point of that. You said all characters are interesting. I'm not a massive fan of these characters. It's not the performances about it. You said the performances are rather great. But for me, these characters, this situation, it doesn't engage me. It doesn't hook me. And that's the wonderful thing about Doctor Who is that there's so many different things and different scenarios. There is one, but this one isn't for me. Unfortunately,
I mean, I grant you that outside of the Doctor, Liz, and the Brigadier, nobody in this is likable, and actually the Brigadier isn't that likable in this either.
No,
they're all flawed. They're all against the Doctor to some degree, be it sort of Mackay through his duplicitousness, or people like Baker and Lawrence who are just out and out don't want him here.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So I do grant you that there's nobody. What it maybe is lacking is a side character who is on the Doctor's side. So, like, say in Inferno, you've got Greg Sutton.
Yeah.
Say in Evil of the Daleks, you've got Kemmel. Somebody who's actually on the Doctor's side. I think that might be lacking here. As you know, this is my favourite season of Doctor Who, season 7. I do view the Silurians as the weakest story of that season. But it's a very high bar in that season.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you made there, actually, about the character on the Doctor's side. I think maybe that is it. Maybe I think that you might not agree because, like you said, you enjoyed the character. But I enjoyed the character building to a certain degree, but I do think there is an excess of scenes. I always struggle in some TV shows where known characters who we know are knowledgeable, like the Brigadier. Yeah, of course, the Brigadier never thinks like the Doctor. He's a bit more closed-minded, but like he's not an idiot. And there are some scenes where like these guys are really shady, and we're shown that not only away when the Doctor's not there, but also when the Doctor is there, and the Brigadier's like, "Nah, sorry, mate, you need more." Like. And I'm thinking the amount of times the Doctor has gone to this, doing this, to me is just it just gets a bit old. And one thing I will give the story I really like is in the early path, more so, is the effects it has on the humans and the interesting things because it's quite advanced. Like you think they do that more in a modern story where. These humans have been feared into shock. One of them's turned his brain back into essentially, a caveman, and he does his caveman drawings and stuff. I think that's really cool. The Brigadier's not having any of that as well, which made me laugh. He's like, nah, he's fine. He's just chilling. And the Doctor's like, no, his brain is literally revolted back to such a basic form of thinking. And I think that's a really smart idea and really interesting, actually. Well, what are you thinking so far on that chat? I've realised that you're not been able to jump in as much. What are you thinking so far? What do you think overall, mate?
So I missed half of that because you started breaking up on me. I don't know if it's my connection or yours or what.
We'll find out. I said, what do you make of it all, mate? What's your opinion? I realised you've been a bit quiet. I feel like we haven't been able to let you jump in. So,
I like the story in general. I do feel it's like a little bit long, and it could be sort of like cut down a little bit here and there, not by much. But yeah. As John said, you have that sort of split between 4 episodes of the invasion-y bit and then the 3 parts with the virus bit. So it kind of does break it up a bit. So I suppose in the way that you watched it, that you can actually just sort of watch the 4 episodes here and then the 3 episodes later on. But with me, when I watched it today, obviously I was at work, so I just put it on the computer. I did a split screen, so I was watching it and also working at the same time. So, but whilst I was working, it kind of sort of killed time at the same time. So, but yeah, I do enjoy it. I actually really like the old design of the Silurians as well, because there are a lot of differences between these and the classics, where the classic ones, they kind of do this sort of thing. I don't know if it's a third eye or what, and they can either kill their victims or unlock doors, burn like holes into walls, various things like that. And I think that's kind of cool. And then they never sort of did that in the new series, and they just have handheld weapons and things like that. So yeah, I've never really been taken to sort of like the new series Silurians.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, no, I think the Silurians overall have a really good presence here. I like the fact rewatching this, because I think the Silurians were the first classic. I told John, one of the first classics I ever watched. So I didn't have much of memory, which is sort of an interesting thing going. I didn't remember too much about it. And now you realize how much Chris Chibnall just ripped this story off, baby, and made it to a Series 5 episode. Woohoo. Even though I don't mind that episode because Series 5 is nearly flawless. It's still...
It does feel like a massive rehash of Doctor and the Silurians, though.
Oh, well, it's a massive rip-off.
Yeah.
And I will be honest, this one is better. But yeah, and also, again, this is one thing that I can never fault, and thankfully, because if I did fault it, John would probably murder me. John Pertwee is flawless in this. Every scene he's in, he is absolutely stunning. Every interaction he's in, he is stunning. He just has a presence on screen. And I think this is one of the stories where he thrives, where he can get into debate, but it's all about, he's in the middle. He's very much trying to, because, he's not antagonistic here. He's like, we can work this out. Very similar to Matt Smith, who again could do it very well as well, and did do a good job in 2010. But there's something about Pertwee's panache, the way he does things, the way he speaks. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean that final scene is, I stand by it, is one of the finest in all of Doctor Who.
I have to agree.
And it's some. I read it recently in Barry Letts' memoir, Who and Me. He actually rewrote that. He wrote that thinking initially that scene was something like, "Oh, he's killed them, and we could have learned so much from them." And he's like, "No, this Doctor wouldn't say that." And it's all that thing about an intelligent species wiped out. He's murdered them, and it's beautiful. It shows you that what we have here is a very different Doctor. We have somebody who comes to Earth and actually goes, what right does the human race have over somebody else that has always lived here?
Exactly.
It's got Barry Letts all over it, because it's a very sort of Zen, a very sort of Buddhist philosophy that he puts in there. And, it's part of the reason that, as I say, Pertwee's my favourite Doctor, because all of his era is basically about, I'm not on humanity's side, I'm on the universe's side, and I want everybody to be at peace, and I want to save the world however I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm absolutely with you on that. I think that's a brilliant portion of it. I've also got to give props to just the idea of this one. I think it's an amazing concept, an interesting one, especially for 70s Who. The fact we get a fucking T-Rex is cool.
I often forget that T-Rex is in it, and every time I see the target book, and I keep thinking, why is there a dinosaur on the front cover? And then obviously it's not until I rewatch and I think, oh yeah, let's get that.
And then as well, I just realised the only two John Pertwee stories we've done on the podcast have included dinosaurs. We've completed the dinosaur set.
And the musical score to this is beautiful as well. There's something very alien about the score to this. It's quite electronic and quite sort of. It's just a wonderful sound to it.
Yeah,
there's something very odd going on, and you can kind of tell it through the music.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. The music's brilliant. Like I said, I was very harsh to the story when it came up, and I've been harsh on it before because I was like, no, it's bad. It's not a bad story, but I think the best way.
It's not for everyone, and I completely accept it's not for everyone. 7-part, 3-hour classic epics are not for everyone. Because actually, people enjoy Doctor Who in different ways. People like different things. Me, I'll get more out of something like this than I will out of a 45-minute episode. Not everyone will, because our brains work differently and we take things in differently. So sometimes differences of opinion aren't about it being necessarily better or worse. They're about actually how you interact with media.
Yeah. Exactly. And like I said, I was about to say it's not for me, this one. But yeah, I think as well, it's a brilliant story in terms of the story they're telling is before its time. It's a story that you could easily say, well, they have done it today, albeit worse. I still can't wrap my brain around how much Chris Chibnall watched this and went, do you know what? I'm going to do that again. But yeah.
I saw an interview with Terence Dix years ago, where he was talking about like how they did the whole thing with the Doctor's exile in the 70s. And, he basically said, right, we had two things that we could do. We've got two stories, alien invasion or mad scientist. And so they basically decided to flip it on its head. And with the Silurians, tell an alien invasion story where we were the aliens. Somebody else was here first and then we came along. And it's just that concept. It's just clever.
The scientists are kind of mad anyway, because they're sort of like egomaniacs, and they refuse to listen to anyone else or anyone else's advice.
Oh yeah, we have mad scientists. We have mad scientists in this too.
Yeah, and they just completely go against any slight bit of evidence, and they just shun it away. And it's like, no, you're just interfering. Get out of my building. I don't want you here. And it's they're just trying to lead themselves even into more catastrophe. Which, to be honest, it does sound a lot like 70s Doctor Who.
And I mean, Peter Miles in particular portrays that brilliantly here.
Oh yeah,
because you see, he doesn't start out at like 10 out of 10 paranoia. And through the episodes, you see him building up and getting more and more paranoid to the point where, like, literally he trusts nobody around him. And it's
suddenly he's infected and he's trying to throttle the Brigadier.
It's wonderful stuff. I mean, the guys, obviously, we all know the guy's a brilliant actor anyway. But I think sometimes people get so focused on his performance in Genesis of the Daleks that they forget how good he is in this. And he is so bloody good in this.
Even in Invasion of the Dinosaurs as well.
Yeah.
Even there he's mad and trying to, send everyone back into the golden age.
Yeah, exactly. I just think this is there. This concept, like I said, the concept is brilliant. The execution is also very good. It's just not for me. It's one of those stories that I just don't quite engage with. It's one of those stories that I struggle. I struggle to fault, but I just go.
Yeah, but that, as I say,
it's not one you'd necessarily go back to.
So that's fine, mate. You don't need to apologise for that or justify it. It's absolutely fine. As I say, people. I know you were expecting a massive row coming on here to talk about this, but actually, I kind of, it is one of these things where I can accept that our opinions are different because
John, it's 2021. You can't fight me.
I know that a 3-hour Doctor Who epic doesn't sit well with everybody. I mean, I'm one of the only people in the world that will sit and watch the War Games in one bloody sitting.
No, absolutely. I've done that. Yeah, the War Games.
Must have been about 2:00 in the morning by the time I finished.
I tell you what, normally about once a year, normally in summer or an international weekend when there's no football on, I'll do it on a Sunday afternoon. I'll just sit there on a Sunday afternoon and from like say 1:00 up until 5:00 or 2 till 6, I'll just sit and watch the War Games.
Yeah. I think the last time I re-watched it was around the time Pip Madeley did his. I think he just did like a watch along or Twitter.
Yeah,
thing.
but Pip didn't do it properly. He did 2 episodes a night. He copped out. I'd have been like, right, 4-hour watch along the War Games, starting at 10:00, finishing at 2 a.m. Bosh.
Yep, job done. Exactly.
We're not even doing it on Friday or Saturday. We're doing it on a Monday. Bosh.
Brilliant. But it's better than watching Raw, eh, John? But yeah, that's.
Not going to comment on that.
That's a yes.
I quite like this week's Raw, actually.
If for once it was good.
It surprised me. Your old Queen's Crown tournament that surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
I
A fucking
I
dinosaur popped up midway. No, I'm joking.
I thought Shayna had her name written all over that. So
Yeah, well, you know what Vince McMahon's like.
yeah.
So
Anyway,
any other new things have we got?
I don't think so. I think we should just get on to like scores now and finding out what we're doing. Owen, I'll let you go first with your scores, lad. What are you saying?
For this, I'd say 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a fair review.
Yeah, well, I'll go next. I'm going to give it 6.5. Because it is solid. It is. I can't go any lower than that. But if I was being honest, I can't go any higher than that either. And next to you, John.
I'm going to give it a 9 because actually I can't go higher because, as I say, the rest of this season shows us what Doctor Who can do. It's a 4-story season, but Spearhead, Ambassadors, and Inferno are all better than this for me. So I give it a 9.
There we go.
It is just Pertwee. In terms of Pertwee, as always, he gets a 10 out of 10 every time.
Yeah, can't disagree. Right, here we go. I know what John's going to say because he always goes by the stats. So I always ask him which doctors are going to be, and he always goes 4 because of which makes sense. Yeah, it's a sensible one to go with. Right, Owen, who are you saying?
I'm going to say 11th Doctor. And I'm going to say dinosaurs on a spaceship.
You're gonna complete the dinosaurs
the
there.
dinosaur theme.
Okay, can everyone listening? Can we get a tiny drum roll in your head? Just to imagine one. Okay, Owen, you were somewhat right. It is the 11th Doctor. It's not dinosaurs on a spaceship. However, man, but get ready for this, guys.
Breath?
No, that's not even the 11th Doctor.
That also has a dinosaur in it.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, it's an 11th. It's 11th Doctor story. Take a stab, chaps.
It's not bloody Cold Blood, Hungry Earth.
Nope. In the right area though.
So it's a series 5.
Yep.
I mean, in that case, I'm happy.
Owen, take us. We've not done any of them, so you got the world's your oyster.
Okay.
Hmm.
I think. We did Amy's Choice once, didn't we? Or was that a drunk watch along?
That was a drunk watch along.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also tell a lie. I've done the Beast Below before, back when George was co, so it's not the Beast Below.
If it's Vincent and the Doctor, you do realise we're going to be talking for about 4 hours.
It's not Vincent and the Doctor.
Oh.
Is it Pandorica Opens Big Bang?
We're going to the very start of the 11th Doctor for an hour-long epic.
The 11th hour.
The 11th hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
Alex is happy. I can tell you that was going to be a positive. John, I assume by your reaction, you're just going to join us for that as well. I know you said the one. I assume you're essentially now our mainstay of the series, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much just assume it. There are very few Doctor Who stories that I have nothing to say about.
There we go. So, guys, like I said, the plan is that Ant-Man and the Wasp will be coming out next Monday, but the day of the podcast will be changing as Doctor Who's on. Unfortunately, with Doctor Who being on a Sunday, no chance I can get the podcast out on a Monday unless I literally got people to film straight after watching it, which is unfair. Also, with New Who, I like to watch it twice to be able to film a review. So the day will be whenever I can get it out and the fastest I can get it out. Like many other things, but I'll leave that to your imagination. Anyway,
You can get some
sure
for
to-
indecent. Was it public indecency?
Christ. What? No, I wasn't talking about doing it in public or on the podcast. Anyway, you can follow Owen on Twitter and Instagram at Dr. Disco63. Am I right? You can follow John on. Is it the same? Twitter and Instagram are the same on there. John Boy _ Cook. Are they? No, they're not. Different.
Insta does not have the underscore.
So it's just John Boy Cook on the Insta.
Yeah.
And then you can follow me.
Twitter is underscore. Insta is not.
No underscore on the Insta. You can follow me on Twitter. That's King_Don. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at the Thomas Pod. I've not said that in a while. I think I got that correct. Stay safe. Take care. We'll see you in a few weeks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well.